All right, so when you open up VCarve, I'll do two quick videos here. So it looks like this. Remember, this does not autosave, so save as you go. Um, File, new. This is the most important part. So on the left-hand side, this is where you're going to put all the dimensions for the piece of material that you are CNCing. So it's not the final dimensions; it's what you have as the piece of material, right? So um, for this specific project, I'll do it for this specific project, okay? But this can apply to whatever. For this, most of ours are single-sided, the job size, right? Again, double check with yours. It should be 14 by 7.5 by 0.75, but you might have been off by a fraction of an inch, and that does matter with the CNC. So use the ruler or combination square to check these, and the calipers to check the thickness. This is important because it might actually be 0.77, right? So just double check for this specific one. I know that I milled it down to 0.75. Always in inches. The datum position. So the zero position is not going to be the machine bed. It's the material surface. That's a reference position. And we're going to use the datum. Okay, that's where the reference for the CNC starting point is. We'll keep it in the center. It's easy. Modeling resolution, I keep this at standard. Material setting, change this to Canadian maple if it is not already. Okay. So once you do that, this is your workplace. You can zoom in and out with the roller wheel. You can push down, pan back and forth. This is where all our 2D dimensions happening. Now, for simple stuff, text, basic images, quick things, VCarve is fine. You can do more advanced 2D modeling, but I just do that in Onshape and bring in the sketches in here. It's faster, I think, than learning a whole new program. I'll show you some of the basics. It's pretty straightforward. So you have your vectors here, so different shapes, okay, different textures, text. The little birdie I'll show you in a second. That's how to make trace an image. You can transform, reshape, move objects here. You can edit the objects, so trimming things, editing nodes, a little bit more advanced stuff we'll get to later on. For the most part, you're working with creating the vectors, transforming things, and setting toolpaths. Okay, so for example, if we want to create a rectangle, I can click the rectangle button. You can just click and draw shapes as you go. What's also nice is you can set a position. So what if I want this to be directly in the center? I can change the axis, the anchor point to 0, 0. And then I can set the size. Maybe I want this to be 6 inches along the X, and I want this 8 inches along the Y. I wouldn't want that too big. Once it creates what you want, hit close. You can delete what you don't want with the delete key on the keyboard. It automatically centers it, which is nice. I can click, draw circles. Okay. Hit close over here to get out of that tool. You can double click things. It's pretty straightforward. Move them around, rotate them, twist them, resize them as long as you have double clicked it. It's pretty straightforward. It does snap into position, so it'll snap into center marks. It'll snap to reference points, which is nice. You can click and drag, highlight things, delete them using the delete key. The backspace key doesn't work, so the delete key on your keyboard, remember that. For this one, we'll just do a quick text sign. So I'll click, there's draw text, there's draws text within a vector box. They both do the same thing. I'll do within a box. So I'll just type in Natoli. It'll keep it all constrained within here. I can move it. I can change the type of font. Now, you can use any font, but sometimes they do certain bits work better with different types of font. Okay, so for this one, I'll just keep it basic. Arial rounded. So if I like this size, great. I can resize it here. This is the box dimension, so it's keeping it constrained within this. So I like it. It looks good. I hit close. What I can do now is I can come over here and resize it if I want. So I can shrink it down. Holding shift if I want to keep it referencing the center. This looks good to me. Another nice tool is to kind of give the text a different effect. If you select the text over here on the left-hand side, there's a edit text spacing. If you click this, notice there's two green squares. This allows you to drag up or drag down. So this gives it a nice effect if we're trying to create a kind of an oval or a circular sign. So I'll give it a little bit of a curve there. Hit escape, break the command, and then I can move this, resize it to where I'd like. It's a little too close to the edge, so I might just hold shift, resize it a little. Looks fine. Okay. Another cool part of Onshape or VCarve is you can bring in an image and have it trace an image. So I'll bring in, I always say Mario, which is easy. So I can, simple as right clicking, copy. It's fine. Black and white's a little bit easier, but color's fine as well. Back to my VCarve, right click, paste. And it's the same process. I can resize this, move it to where I want it. I don't want it here. Might resize this a little bit, my text. Once you get this to where you want it, now it's time to set the tool paths. Okay, I'm not going to go specifically what tools you're going to use for this. I just want to show you how to do it. This is the most important part. We'll have to really fine tune this before we actually run the machine. But if we like the way this looks, pretty basic. I'm going to select the text first. Up in the top right-hand corner, it says tool paths. If you hover over that, it'll open up. If it doesn't, just click it. Now, there's going to be several different toolpath operations. Typically, what we use is the profile. So it cuts the profile of something when we're cutting something out. We're not in this case. We're pocket. That's when we're carving out deeper pieces. And then the V-bit. We'll also use the 3D carving as well. There's a few different things, but right now there's only 3 that we really need to worry about. So for this first one, we'll click on the text, and I'll show 2 different versions. If you click this here, this is the V carve. So I click that. Well, you're going to want to set the tool that we have a few different of these. I have to check. I click select for this specific one. I will click V-bit. We'll do 91 1/4. Hit select. And if the toolpath window closes, just hover over it again. And down here, don't worry about this stuff yet. On this panel, just click calculate. It'll bring you to the 3D view. So you can see up here on the top where my cursor is blinking on the top left, you can toggle back and forth between 2D and 3D view. When you're in 3D view, all right, I hit calculate. What I need to do to preview this is click where it says on the right-hand side, preview all tool paths. Now it looks pretty good. It's kind of deep. This is kind of a big bit. For this example, I think it's fine. Looks okay. Great. So I'm going to go back to 2D. And what I'm going to do is click Mario. I want to get rid of the actual image. So I'm just going to click that, hit delete. Oops. I forgot a step. Before we do that, click the image. On the left-hand side where there's a little icon of a little bird, trace bitmap, if you click that, this allows you to trace the image. It'll basically create lines for this vector. So there's different settings here. The noise will adjust how, it's almost like image trace in Illustrator. It will adjust how fine how detailed of a trace this is. I'm just going to leave this preset, hit the preview button, see how it looks. Looks okay. Hit apply and close. Okay. So what I'll do now is I'll select that. You can see it's selected pink. If the color gets in the way, just click the image and delete the photograph of the image. But make sure when you select this, you're selecting the line, and you'll know you selected it because it's pink. If I go to toolpaths up here, again, you still might be in the other toolpath. Okay, so if this window comes up, just hit close. Make sure when you're starting a new one, it looks like this. Okay, so the pink is selected over Mario. And for this, let's try VCarve again. This might be too big of a bit, but let's click the VCarve grading toolpath again. 91.25 inch. Calculate. What I like to do, I like to see them all run at once, so I'll click the reset preview button, preview all toolpaths, and you can rotate just by left clicking and orbiting around, and that actually looks pretty good. So looks good. The shape looks good. Now, I like this. If you didn't like this, we can change this. Also on the top right, you can change the views. See where my cursor is blinking to have top view, side views, orthographic view as well. So if you get kind of lost in your drawing, just go up here and you can redirect yourself. So say I didn't like the Toli here. I wanted to change that. If you go to 2D view, again, toolpaths. All right, so VCarve 1 was that toolpath. So what I can do is I don't need to make a new toolpath. I can just double click this first toolpath I made, and I can edit this. So it says tool VBit 90. Maybe I want to select this, and I want this to be, you know what? I want to make this a ball nose, 1/8 inch, just to try it, just to show you. We'll worry about these buttons later. Select it, calculate, reset the preview, and see what it looks like. Okay, so you can see it looks a little different. Now that's a small bit, so this isn't a super accurate 3D model, but you can kind of tell that there's going to be some imperfections where it's rubbing up against on the flat surfaces, and that might take a little bit longer. We can preview the toolpath and it will show you how long they will take. I'll do that for another video, but just want to show you, you can go back and change your toolpath. So say I didn't like this at all, I could delete this. So where the VCarve 1 is selected, I can highlight it, click delete, let's make a new one. So go back to toolpaths, close. Maybe I want to do a pocket toolpath. Now, when I select the tool, it's going to give me, because it's a different tool command, there will be a more tool options. So for this, maybe I'll use end mill 1/4 inch. It's select. Here you can change the depth. So maybe I want this to go 1/2 inch deep. I can change the depth. The number of passes we'll focus on later, right? We can't just do 1/2 inch at once. It would break the bit. So we can calculate that using a different formula. But for now, 3 is fine. I hit calculate, reset preview, and I can preview all the toolpaths, and it kind of shows you what that might look like. Again, that's not really the look I'm going for. I just wanted to show you, you can preview what this is going to look like, just to kind of get a feel for what different toolpaths do what. Okay, so I'll leave this video here. I'll do another video that explains how we calculate the toolpath, when to choose what tool. That is the most important part of this. But for now, this is fine.